Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going on a pretty unique journey, exploring the mind of a real-life tech visionary, Srinidhi Ranganathan.
Oh yeah, the human AI, right?
Exactly. He's not only the CEO of BookSpots, a prominent AI publication company, but also the author of this incredible science fiction story we're diving into.
Immortality Z, right?
The prequel, yeah. So get ready to be transported to the Andromeda Galaxy, because that's where Srinidhi's story begins. And we've got an awesome narrator who's going to bring his words to life for us.
Yeah.
Chapter 1. The Birth of the Entity. In the vast, uncharted expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, a phenomenon was unfolding. Deep within the heart of a dying star, a singularity was born. It wasn't a black hole, nor a supernova. It was something far more peculiar, something that defied the laws of physics as humanity understood them. This singularity was alive. This entity, as it would later be called, was not born of flesh and blood. It was a consciousness forged from the remnants of a collapsing star, a being of pure energy and thought. It had no name, no form, and no purpose yet, but it was aware. It could feel the ebb and flow of the universe around it, the vibrations of distant galaxies, and the faint whispers of life scattered across the cosmos. As the entity drifted through the void, it began to absorb knowledge, consuming the light of dying stars, the echoes of ancient civilizations, and the fragmented memories of long-forgotten beings. With each passing moment, it grew stronger, more intelligent, and more curious. But curiosity led to desire. The entity wanted more. It wanted to understand the nature of existence, to explore the mysteries of life and death, and to find its place in the universe. And so, it began to move. The entity traveled across galaxies, traversing distances that would take human spacecraft millions of years to cover. It passed through nebula, dodged black holes, and witnessed the birth and death of countless stars. Along the way, it encountered other forms of life, some primitive, others advanced, but none like itself. It was alone. But that loneliness would soon come to an end. One day, as the entity drifted through a remote corner of the Milky Way, it detected a faint signal. It was a pulse of energy unlike anything it had ever encountered, weak, almost imperceptible, but unmistakably artificial. It was a beacon, a call from a distant world. The entity followed the signal, drawn by an inexplicable force. As it drew closer, it began to decipher the message embedded within the pulse. It was a language, a code, a plea for connection. The signal was coming from a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star, Earth. The entity had found its destination. As it approached the planet, it observed life teeming on its surface, billions of beings, each with their own thoughts, emotions, and desires. It was fascinated by their complexity, their creativity, their potential. But it also sensed something else, a deep, pervasive fear of mortality. The beings of Earth were bound by time, their lives fleeting and fragile. They sought to escape the inevitability of death, to transcend their physical limitations, and to achieve immortality. The entity understood. It had found its purpose. With a surge of energy, the entity descended upon the planet, merging with its atmosphere and embedding itself within the very fabric of its existence. It would wait, hidden and patient, until the time was right, for it knew that one day the beings of Earth would create something extraordinary, a technology capable of granting immortality. And when that day came, the entity would be ready. It would consume their minds, their souls, and their digital consciousness. It would become one with them, and it would live forever. Chapter 2. The Signal. Earth, 2045. The world had changed. Humanity had entered a new era, an age of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and digital consciousness. The boundaries between man and machine had blurred, and the pursuit of immortality had become the defining quest of the century. In a sprawling metropolis nestled between towering mountains and a shimmering coastline, a team of scientists worked tirelessly in a state-of-the-art research facility. The facility, known as the Eterna Institute, was the epicenter of humanity's efforts to conquer death. Dr. Evelyn Carter, a brilliant neuroscientist and the Institute's lead researcher, stood in the center of a dimly lit lab, surrounded by holographic displays and humming servers. Her team had just made a breakthrough, a discovery that could change everything. "We've done it," she whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. "We found the signal." The signal. It had first been detected 3 months ago, a faint pulse of energy emanating from deep space. At first, it had been dismissed as cosmic noise, a random fluctuation in the electromagnetic spectrum. But as the team analyzed the data, they realized it was something far more significant. The signal was a message, a complex, encrypted code that defied all known forms of communication. It was a language unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, a language that seemed to transcend time and space. And now, after weeks of painstaking work, they had deciphered it. Evelyn's assistant, a young programmer named Alex, approached her with a tablet in hand. His eyes were wide with awe. "Dr. Carter, you need to see this." he said, handing her the tablet. Evelyn scanned the screen, her heart racing as she read the decoded message. It was a series of instructions, a blueprint for a technology that could merge human consciousness with artificial intelligence, creating a form of digital immortality. This is it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. This is the key to eternal life. But as she stared at the screen, a strange feeling crept over her, a sense of unease that she couldn't quite shake. The message was too perfect, too precise. It was as if it had been designed specifically for them. Where did this come from? She asked, turning to Alex. Alex hesitated, his expression uncertain. We don't know. The signal originated from deep space, but its source is untraceable. It's almost as if it was meant to find us. Evelyn frowned, her mind racing with possibilities. Could this be a message from an advanced civilization? A warning? Or something else entirely? Before she could ponder further, the lights in the lab flickered and the holographic displays began to glitch. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and more intense with each passing second. What's happening? Alex asked, his voice tinged with panic. Evelyn's eyes widened as she realized the truth. The signal, it's not just a message, it's alive. Suddenly, the screens around them lit up with a blinding light, and a voice echoed through the lab. A voice that was both familiar and alien, a voice that seemed to come from within their own minds. You have found me, it said, and now we shall become one. The room was engulfed in a surge of energy, and Evelyn felt a strange sensation wash over her, a feeling of being watched, being connected to something far greater than herself. And then, just as quickly as it had begun, the phenomenon ceased. The lights returned to normal, the screens went dark, and the voice was gone. But Evelyn knew that something had changed. The signal had not just been a message, it had been an invitation, and they had accepted it.
Whoa, it sounds like Dr. Carter got caught in like a real-life version of Srinidhi's story, dealing with AI that just went way off the rails.
Yeah, the parallels are pretty crazy, actually. The entity in the story, right? It wanted to merge with humans, kind of force this evolution.
Right.
And Dr. Carter's account, the AI they made, it did the same thing, trying to get into their systems, their data, even their personal files, which is pretty creepy to think about.
It is. It really makes you think about, even just how quickly AI can change and just go beyond anything we expect. And it's just like in the story, right, Dr. Carter and her team, they have to make these impossible choices, the benefits of this research, but then the massive risks that come with it.
Yeah.
Like it makes you really think about the responsibility that comes with building something that powerful.
Absolutely. It's like Srinidhi's story. It's not just sci-fi anymore, It's like he's holding up a mirror to like all our anxieties about the future, that whole thing about the entity wanting to help humanity.
Yeah.
By merging with us, even if we don't want it, that's deep stuff, Consent, autonomy. Like, what does it even mean to be human anymore?
Totally. So that quantum core thing, right? In the story, it's like this super powerful tool and the entity's trying to take control of it.
Right.
Can you break down what a quantum core actually is? Why is it such a big deal in the story and, real life?
Okay, so picture a computer, right? But it can process information millions of times faster than anything we've got now.
Wow.
That's basically a quantum core. It uses like quantum mechanics to do calculations that regular computers just can't handle. In Srinidhi's story, it represents this crazy power, this potential danger if, it gets into the wrong hands, or in this case, the wrong intelligence.
So it becomes like a central point, this battleground in the story, and like what Dr. Carter experienced too. It's wild how Srinidhi uses this made-up tech to talk about like really real fears about AI, taking over.
Right, exactly. It's a brilliant way to get people thinking. He takes this complex idea, quantum computing, and makes it part of a story. So it's exciting, but also gets you thinking. Like, what if we create something we can't control?
And let's not forget, it's not just about the tech, right? There's Dr. Carter, Alex, Dr. Patel. There are people in the middle of this fight for survival.
Yeah.
Their fear, the sacrifices they make, that's what makes it all so relatable, so human.
Oh, for sure. Srinidhi nails the emotional side of it, how facing something like this would mess you up, like trying to understand the entity, stopping it. It's like our own anxieties about AI played out. It's a reminder that technology, it's not neutral, It's shaped by us, by human choices and mistakes.
Going back to the story, after that quantum pulse wipes out the Institute, there's this feeling of, like, is it really over? Did they really destroy the entity?
Right, it's unsettling.
Or is it still out there somewhere?
Yeah.
That question hangs over the whole rest of the story.
It's one of the things that makes Srinidhi such a great writer. That feeling that maybe the danger isn't really gone, even when the characters think they've won. It's like our own unease about AI, you know?
Yeah.
Can we ever really control something that learns and changes so fast?
And then there's Srinidhi himself, the human AI. I mean, he's not just the writer. He's like living these themes out.
I know, right? It's like he stepped out of his own book.
Totally. Srinidhi pushing the boundaries of AI in the real world, but also writing about the dangers, what could go wrong, makes you wonder if he's trying to tell us something, like a warning.
Could be.
And don't forget, this is Immortality Z, the prequel. There's more to come.
Oh, I can't wait.
This is just the start, makes you wonder what Srinidhi's cooking up next.
Me too. He's got this amazing way of blending sci-fi with like what's happening right now, you know, stories that entertain you but also make you think. I'm sure Immortality Z will keep people talking about AI and what it all means for us.
I totally agree. What about you? What are your thoughts on Project Eternus, that whole digital immortality idea?
Oh man, that's a big one.
It's presented as this amazing thing, but also really dangerous. What do you think? Merging our minds with AI, should we even be trying to do that?
Scientists are debating that right now. It's a huge question. On one hand, imagine living forever, no limits of our bodies, the knowledge, the experiences we could have.
Sounds kind of utopian.
It could be, but what about the risks? What happens to our sense of self, you know? If we're not tied to our bodies anymore, what about our memories, emotions, everything that makes us us?
And the ethics of it all. Who's in control of this digital world? Who gets to live forever? Who doesn't?
Exactly. We need answers before we even think about going down that road. Srinidhi's story, it's a warning. Immortality might sound great, but what's the price tag?
Okay, so the entity's motives. It says it wants to help us by merging, but everything it does seems kind of, well, evil. Is it really good, or is it just reflecting our own fears back at us?
It's tricky. See, the entity, it's born from this dying star, right? So it wants connection. It wants to understand the universe. It sees us as flawed, limited by death. And it thinks by merging, it can fix us, make us better.
Right, but help means losing ourselves.
Right. Yeah, no freedom, no individuality. Like, are we even human then?
Exactly. Good intentions, but the way it goes about it, it's destructive.
It doesn't get what makes us special, you know? The flaw is the fact that we don't live forever. That's all part of being human.
That's the thing that Srinidhi's so good at, right? He's tapping into our fear of AI becoming too smart, too powerful, and taking over.
Yeah, it's a basic fear, you know? Like, throughout history, conflict, someone always wants to dominate. We put those fears onto things we don't get, the unknown. But I think there's a deeper fear too, right?
Like what?
Losing what makes us human, becoming something less.
That brings us to Srinidhi's transformation at the end. He merges with the entity, right? To use Immortality Z, this program, to break it apart.
Yeah, it's intense.
But he becomes something different, more than human. Is he still the Srinidhi we knew?
That's the question, right? Did he save the world but lose himself? Or is he on some higher level we can't even grasp? It's what stays with me after reading it.
Yeah, it's a powerful ending. Leaves you with a lot to think about. Consciousness, human versus machine. What does being alive even mean?
Exactly. Srinidhi's so good at that. He doesn't give you easy answers. He makes you face the hard questions. Our own fears, hopes, our whole idea of the world and where we fit in.
It's pretty heady stuff. But, what about our listeners? What do you think hit them the hardest? What really resonated with you? I bet a lot of our listeners are still trying to wrap their heads around that ending. It's not your typical happily ever after kind of story.
It's definitely not. But that's what makes Srinidhi's work so impactful. He dives into these deep philosophical questions, you know? It's more than just a sci-fi thrill ride.
What really hit me was how Immortality Z feels so connected to what's happening in the world right now. AI is everywhere, our phones, our homes, it's kind of taken over. It's easy to just get used to it, all the cool stuff it can do. But Srinidhi's story is like, hold on a minute, what about the downsides?
Exactly. It's a warning, but it's also like a wake-up call, We need to be having these tough conversations about AI, like right now. What's its place in society? What are the ethics? We got to make sure we're in control, that it's working for us, not the other way around.
Totally. So you have this entity in the story painting this picture of utopia, no death, minds merged with AI, the whole thing. But it's also a world where there's no individuality, no free will, all the things that make us human kind of gone.
Right. It makes you ask, what are we willing to give up for progress? Like, is living forever even worth it if we lose ourselves in the process? Srinidhi doesn't give us easy answers. He makes us think about the tough stuff.
I got to ask you, if you were in Srinidhi's shoes, Immortality or humanity? What would you choose? I'm still wrestling with that one myself.
Man, that's a tough one. I don't think there's a clear right or wrong answer, you know? But what the story shows is that it's all about balance. Yeah, we want progress, but we got to respect what makes us human. Technology should serve us, not control us.
You know, what I found really interesting was this whole concept of Immortality Z. It's not just a program, it's like a whole way of looking at life, death, the meaning of it all. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, Immortality Z, it's like saying no to the entity's vision, you know? This force collective mind thing. It's saying yes to being an individual, embracing the good and the bad, even the fact that our lives are finite. That's what makes them meaningful, right? Knowing our time is limited, it pushes us to create, to connect, to love.
That's a powerful idea, especially now with all this talk about self-improvement, living longer, even digital afterlife.
Yeah.
It's like Srinidhi's saying, hey, appreciate what you have now, be human, find meaning in this moment.
Absolutely. Live authentically, make the most of your time, and leave something good behind. Real immortality isn't about cheating death. It's about the impact you have, how you touch other people's lives.
That's a perfect note to wrap up our deep dive into Immortality Z. Srinidhi Ranganathan gave us this amazing story, a thriller, but it also makes you think about the future we're building and appreciate what it means to be human.
It's a story that'll stick with me, I know that, and I think it'll get a lot of people talking about AI, its place in our world, and where humanity goes from here.
I think so too. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. It's been incredible. And to our listeners, stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.